Good morning. In this video, we will discuss about respiratory system. The respiratory system is a biological system consisting of specific organs and a structure used for gaseous exchange in animals and plants. The anatomy and physiology that make it happens varies greatly depending on the size of the organism, the environment in which it lives, and its evolutionary history. In land animal, the respiratory surface is internationalized as lining of the lungs. Gas exchanges in the lungs occurs in millions of small sacs called alveoli in mammals and reptiles, but atria in birds. These macroscopic air sacs have a very rich blood supply, thus bringing the air into close contact with the blood. These air sacs communicate with the external environment via a system of airways or hollow tubes, of which the largest is the trachea, which branches in middle of the chest into the two main bronchi. These intersect the lungs where they branch into progressively narrower secondary and tertiary bronchi that branch into the numerous smaller tubes, the bronchioles. In birds, the bronchioles are termed parabronchi. It is the bronchioles or parabronchi that generally opens into the macroscopic alveoli in mammals and atria in birds. Air has to be pumped from the environment into the alveoli or atria by the process of breathing, which involves muscles of respiration. Right? In most fishes, the number of other aquatic animals, the respiratory system consists of gills, which are either partially or completely external organs bathed in the watery environment. This water flows over the gills by variety of activity or passive means. Gas exchange takes place in the gills, which consist of thin or very flat filament and lamella, right, which expose a large surface area of highly vascularized tissues of the water. Other animals such as insects have respiratory system with very simple anatomical features, right, and in amphibians even the skin play a vital role in gas exchange. Plants also have respiratory system, but the directionality of the gas exchange can be opposite to that in animals. The respiratory system in plants include anatomical features such as stomata that are found in the various parts of the plant. Now, the question arises, what is the need of respiration? Right? Why the organism respire? Actually, we all know that for the survival we need energy, and this energy comes from the breakdown of oxygen, glucose molecule. When the glucose molecule reacts, right? When the glucose molecule reacts with oxygen, it releases carbon dioxide, water molecule, and releases huge amount of energy. This energy is utilized for the various function of the body. Heart continuously pumping in your body, liver continuously works, kidney continuously works. So for working of these organs need continuous supply of energy, and this energy comes from the glucose molecule which react with the oxygen. So to absorb the oxygen to fulfill the requirement of oxygen we respire. Right? Now, there are 5 important points to be remembered about the chemical reaction in respiration. What were that 5 important points? Let's discuss. First one is this part of respiration, yield energy, occurs inside the living cell, and hence it is better known as a cellular or tissue respiration. We have already discussed in respiration chapter that the cellular respiration takes place inside the cell. You know that glucose molecule first of all undergo decomposition in cytoplasm to form pyruvic acid or pyruvate, and that pyruvate enters into the mitochondria where it releases a huge amount of energy. Right? Second, the breakdown of glucose molecule to carbon dioxide and water does not occur in a single step, but in a series of chemical steps. Some of these steps occur in cytoplasm of the cell and some inside the mitochondria. We have already discussed about this one, that the breakdown of glucose molecule into the pyruvic acid takes place in cytoplasm, and this pyruvic acid enters into the mitochondria where it releases huge amount of energy which is utilized for the various function of the body. Third point, the breakdown step due to the particular enzyme. Right. We have already discussed that the breakdown of glucose molecule and breakdown of your pyruvate involves a large number of enzymes. Each step is carried out by a specific enzymes. Right? Now, you know that these enzymes are made up of proteins. So, it is a highly specific, it is a substrate specific. Fine. Now, let us come to the fourth point. The energy liberated in the breakdown of the glucose molecule is not all in the form of heat, but large part of it converted into the chemical energy in the form of ATP, a chemical substance called adenosine triphosphate. We know that whatever the energy liberated during the cellular respiration, that energy gets converted into the ATP, which is also known as the currency of energy, right? And some energy gets converted into the heat, which maintains the body temperature of our body. Now, let us come to the fifth point. The essential step of cellular respiration are same in plant and animals. So, whatever the cellular respiration takes place, whatever the steps involved in the cellular respiration, both are same in your plant and animals. Right? Now, next is your why we need energy. The question arises, whatever the energy is released during the cellular respiration, what is the need of that energy? So, let us discuss about that one. Your first is synthesis of protein from amino acid. Whatever the energy is released during the cellular respiration, that energy, part of that energy is utilized in the synthesis of protein. We know that the protein synthesis takes place in your cytoplasm, in your ribosome, with the help of your transfer RNA and DNA. So, this synthesis needs energy. Next, production of enzyme. You know that our body needs have large number of enzymes which performs a specific function, and these enzymes is produced from the protein. For the production of protein, energy is required. Second is contraction of the muscles for movement. You might have felt that when you move your feet, your muscles of your body, it gets heated. It gets heated. Without energy, you are not able to move your muscles, even if your muscles of foot or hand. So, for the contraction and relaxation of the muscles of the body, you need energy. Fourth one is the conduction of electrical impulse in nerve cells. You know that nerve cells are mainly involved in the transportation of message from the CNS to the different part of the body and from the different part of the body to the CNS. CNS is the central nervous system. You know that CNS controls all the activity of our body, and this controlling is done with the help of electrical impulse, means message transports from one part of the body to the other part of the body in the form of electrical impulse. So, this transportation of the electrical impulse needs energy, right? Now, let us come to the fifth point, production of new cell by cell division. You know that your body cells is continuously dividing, and this division of cells helps in the growth of the body and healing of the body wound, right? And also it eliminates old dead cells from your body. So, this cell division requires energy. Without energy, this division of cells will not take place, right? Your sixth point, in keeping the body warm, like in the case of your warm blooded animal, like in your blood and animals, your energy is required. We have already discussed that whatever the energy is produced during the cellular respiration, part of the energy get converted into the form of heat which maintain the body temperature, and part of the energy get converted into the ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. Fine. Now, let us come to the animal needs more energy, right? We know that animal and plant both have the requirement of the energy, but animals have more need of energy as compared to the plant. Why? Because the animals do more physical work as compared to the plant, right? So, to do the physical work, animals needs more energy. Fine. They have to move about for obtaining food or run away to escape animals. Animals do the more activity and they change their position, location in search of food, shelter and escape from the enemies, right? And doing this, they need more energy. Second, they have to chew their food and have to look after their eggs and young ones and so on, right? Means the animals do the more physical work as compared to the plant. That's why the animals needs more energy as compared to your plants. Now, let's come to the bird and mammals need still more energy. You know that there are large number of animals present on this earth, but among all the animals, birds and mammals need more energy, right? Why? The bird and mammals includes ourselves have to produce a lot of heat for keeping the body warm. You know that bird and mammals are the warm blooded animals, means they don't have the ability to change their body temperature according to the changing environment. So, to keep the body temperature constant, they have to respire more so that more and more energy could produced. This heat comes from the respiration in the cell. The amount of heat required to keep the body warm is quite large, right? We are constantly losing heat to the outside air, and more of it has to be continuously produced to make up for the loss. Liver cells in a particular produces much heat, and the muscle cells also contribute to it. Next is your shivering and clattering of teeth. You know that when there is a cold, there clattering of teeth takes place. What is this? This is an emergency activity of muscle cells to produce extra heat to keep the body warm. You know that in a cold season, large amount of heat gets eliminated from our body to the environment, which may cause a decrease in your body temperature. So by this activity, your body maintain your body temperature constant, right? The energy used in all the cellular activity is obtained from the oxidation of glucose, a carbohydrate. You know that glucose is a carbohydrate. So whatever the energy is produced in our body, that all comes from the glucose. I know glucose is a carbohydrate, it is a monosaccharide, right? Now let's come to the next topic. Glucose has no alternative for respiration, right? Glucose has no alternative for respiration. If the simple carbohydrate, that is glucose, is not available directly, the cell may break down the protein or fat to produce glucose for respiratory need, right? Means you are not giving your body a glucose, then in that condition whatever the fat and proteins available in your body will be converted to the glucose, because glucose is the ultimate source of energy. Fine. Now while about the wild animals which are totally flesh eater, the main consumes of the diet is protein with a very little carbohydrate. The excess amino acid absorbed through the protein digestion are broken down in the liver to produce glucose, and the nitrogenous part is converted into the urea, which get excreted out, right? The glucose thus produced may be used immediately or may get stored in liver cells as glycogen for the further need. You know that whatever the glucose molecule you ate in the form of your starch, that all glucose molecule is not utilized at that time. Most of the glucose molecules gets converted into the glycogen and get stored in your liver and your muscle cells, right? A similar process takes place in swimming if they take excess proteins. Now come to the respiration. There are two kinds of respiration, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, right? Anaerobic respiration is the respiration which takes place in the absence of or less amount of oxygen. Fine. This anaerobic respiration may also takes place in our body, in a fast walking skeletal muscles temporarily. During continuous physical work such as fast running, walking over a long distance, swimming, wrestling, weightlifting, our muscles work too fast but not get enough oxygen. In this situation, the muscles are working in the absence of oxygen to provide extra energy. The product of anaerobic respiration in such muscles is lactic acid, and accumulation of lactic acid gives the feeling of fatigue. There is a condition which may call oxygen debt. When you rest after such exercise, the lactic acid gets slowly oxidized by the oxygen later available, and then that is cleared, producing carbon dioxide in the process. So now let's see what are the chemical steps involved in your anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is the respiration which takes place in the presence of sufficient amount of oxygen, and the final product of aerobic respiration is a carbon dioxide and water molecule, which liberates 686 kilocalorie energy per mole, right? Thus, by taking the 180 gram of the glucose, the energy released is 686 kilocalories, or if expressed in kilojoules, the energy released is about 2890 kilojoules, right? Now, an anaerobic respiration in animals. In anaerobic respiration, your lactic acid is produced and only 2 ATP is produced, and heat is released. Now, there are some specific points to be noted about the chemical reactions in anaerobic respiration in animals. What was that? First one, it is a slow process. Second, lactic acid is produced and that lactic acid is a toxic effect on the cells. So, that is why the lactic acid need to be eliminated from the specific region. No carbon dioxide is produced in your anaerobic respiration. Right? Now, the total energy released per mole of glucose is much less as compared to the anaerobic respiration. Right? Means in aerobic respiration more energy is released, but in anaerobic respiration your less energy is released. The basic steps in cellular respiration are the same in the plant and animals. However, the anaerobic respiration is different in some respects. What was that? Let us see. Anaerobic respiration in plant. In the anaerobic respiration in plant takes place, the ethanol and carbon dioxide is formed. But in the case of your animals, only the lactic acid is produced, no carbon dioxide is produced. Right? Now, in the case of anaerobic respiration in plant, released heat energy is more, but in animals released heat energy is less as compared to your plant. So, there is a difference between the anaerobic respiration in plant and in animals. Now, got it? Now, let us come to the part of respiration. In human, there are 4 major parts of respiration: breathing, gaseous transport, tissue respiration and cellular respiration. Got it? Now, let us see start with the breathing. Breathing is a physical process in which the atmospheric air is taken in and forced out of the oxygen absorbing organs, the lungs. You know that in breathing we inhale and exhale the oxygen air. We inhale the air in our lungs and we exhale the air from the lungs. Right? During this inhalation and exhalation, large amount of oxygen is absorbed and carbon dioxide is released respectively. Second is your gaseous transport. The oxygen absorbed by the blood in the lungs is carried by the RBC as oxyhemoglobin throughout the body by means of arteries. The carbon dioxide from the tissue is transported to the lungs by the blood by means of veins in 2 ways. You know that whatever the air we inhale, that air contains oxygen. That oxygen is absorbed by hemoglobin and form oxyhemoglobin. That oxyhemoglobin is being transported to the all part of the body by your arteries, and whatever the carbon dioxide is produced from all part of the body is again transported to the lungs by 2 ways, either in the case of your bicarbonates or carbohemoglobin. Got it? These bicarbonates dissolve in plasma and this carbohemoglobin is formed when the carbon dioxide combines with your RBC. RBC is your red blood cells. Third is your tissue respiration. The terminal blood subvessels, that is capillaries, deliver the oxygen to the body cells or tissue, where the oxygen diffuses through the thin wall, and in the similar way the capillaries pick up the carbon dioxide released by them. So, this oxygen is transported to the different part of the body to the tissues where through the capillaries. Now, fourth one is your cellular respiration. The cellular respiration is a complex chemical change that occurs inside the cell to release energy from the glucose. Right? This cellular respiration takes place in your cell and huge amount of energy is released. In your cellular respiration, carbon dioxide and water is formed and energy is released. There is a glucose molecule reacts with oxygen and form carbon dioxide, water molecule and releases energy. Part of the energy converted into the form of heat and waste energy gets converted into the form of ATP adenosine triphosphate. That adenosine triphosphate gives the energy when required. That's why ATP is also called your currency of energy. So this is all about in this video. In next video we will see about the more thing about respiration. Thank you.